MP Lobine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I retain from the speech of my honourable friend, the Chief Whip of Government, is that he has been out of subject when mentioning politics, petty politics, in this very serious bill. This is a bill. The budget speech is a bill. And unfortunately, he has ended his speech on petty politics, prophète de malheur. Time will tell. Time will tell, because in a very few weeks or months, we will be having the general elections this year. And fortunately for our democracy, fortunately, the people of Mauritius will decide. Vox populi.
Excuse me, is this not petty politics?
No, it's not petty politics. I'm sorry.
I was expecting that you give the lesson.
No.
You are a barrister at law. I was expecting you deviate from if ever he committed any mistake.
Yes.
But you are doing the bigger mistake.
This is about democracy, Mr. Speaker, sir. Democracy.
So, try to understand.
Yes, I do understand, Mr.
On
Speaker.
each side,
yes.
And politics is started. It's true. This is the budget of Honorable Minister Ranganaden's Padayachi. But politics is started with the speech of the leader of the opposition. And politics continued when each member of the opposition saying, the future government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for
except
reminding
Honorable
me.
Armance.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for reminding me of those good words from both sides of the House. But I will continue to say that all is about democracy. All is about the people of this country. All is about Vox Populi, Vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. Because at the end of the day, the people will decide. And as many members from this side of the House, we've been at the grassroots. We've been meeting people. We've been dealing with our constituents. And I can say from what we have gathered,
Who is raising a point of
me? Honorable Nakshedi. Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable Kira, address to be from to Lagil. And I think it's very unparliamentary what he said.
We're in a civilized parliament. Don't speak like this. You're paid here. You're not pro bono. You're not helping. You're paid. Continue.
We have...
What is happening, Honorable Juman? Do you have any point of order? So why your voice? Why are you uttering your voice? Continue.
Yes, what we are having... Do you have
anything else to say to me? Can you apologize for talking after me? Can you apologize? You can't apologize. Please leave the house. No negotiation. Leave the house. Leave the house and you continue, Honorable Lobine.
Yes, what we have been saying and also hearing from our constituents is that we do not have the feel-good factor that members from the other side of the House feel that they are having. That is a feel-good factor. There is no feel-good factor after this budget. This is a budget of continuity, a budget that is taxing our people, a budget that is being financed by taxing and fleecing the people of Mauritius. This is the budget of continuity, a budget full with taxation measures to finance this budget. This is the crude reality, Mr. Speaker, and I will humbly come with some figures to substantiate what I'm saying with regards to a budget that have been taxing our people. I take the famous tax introduced by this government, the Contribution Sociale Généralisée. This is a tax. This is a tax introduced by this government, and for this financial year, Mr. Speaker, the government, through contribution sociale généralisée, will get from employees and employers of this country more than 12.31 milliards de rupees. 12.31 milliards de rupees. It is an increase of more than 13.8% on what the government got last year. This is where government is getting money, and I will give more details with this tax called contribution sociale généralisée. The public sector, les employeurs from the public sector, will be paying 2.06 milliards in this contribution sociale généralisée. Secteur privé, private sector, in 2024-2025, they will be paying 6 milliards de rupees in the contribution sociale généralisée. And les employés, workers of the public sector, will be paying 1.03 milliards in this contribution sociale généralisée. In the private sector, people working in the private sector, employees of the private sector, will be paying 3 milliards de rupees in the contribution sociale généralisée. Not but not least, the self-employed, Mr. Speaker. The self-employed in 2024-2025 will pay 220 millions compared to last year, 192 millions in the contribution sociale généralisée. This is where the funds are being put in the consolidated fund, a rise of more than 13.8%, what government got last year from contribution sociale généralisée. From this tax. Another tax, Mr. Speaker, is through tax collected through VAT, Mr. Speaker. I've gone through the budget estimates of last year and this year, and these are the figures that, in my humble opinion, I have gathered. VAT in 2022-2023 was 47.7 milliards de rupees. In 2023-2024, there has been a rise to 56.13 milliards de rupees. And the expected collection of tax through VAT for this financial year 2024-2025 will be 65.6 billion rupees, 65.6 milliards de rupees. A rise of more than 9 milliards de rupees expected to be collected through VAT this year, Mr. Speaker. And tax from companies and bodies corporate, in the year 2022-2023, it was 22.5 milliards de rupees. And for year 2023-2024, there was a rise to 33.2 milliards de rupees. And for this financial year, Mr. Speaker, government is expecting to collect around 38.76 milliards de rupees. Another rise of more than 5 milliards de rupees. These are the figures, Mr. Speaker. And tax on petroleum products, Mr. Speaker, in 2022-2023, it was 4.362 milliards de rupees. In 2023-2024, there has been a rise to 4.7 milliards de rupees. And for this financial year, 2024-2025, it is expected to be around 4.872 milliards de rupees. These are the figures, Mr. Speaker. This is a budget that is being geared up on tax being collected directly and indirectly from the people of Mauritius. And these are the figures. And if we go by what we've been getting from the people and through the press also, Mr. Speaker, sir, there is no such thing as feel-good factor in any sector. I take, for example, there was the budget forum organized by the ACCA. Several issues have been raised. Several issues with regards to how the economy is being run. Structural reforms absent completely from this budget. And if we take what Pierre Didon has been saying, Mr. Speaker, sir, a renowned, well-respected, he is not a member of any political party or lobby for anything or any sector. Mr. Pierre Didon, well-respected person, have been saying that nous devons être très prudents avec la dépréciation de la roupie. Once again, Mr. Speaker, if we go through the 5 budgets of the Honourable Minister of Finance, there has been a very constant action from his part. There is a constant action to depreciate our rupee. As I'm speaking today, Mr. Speaker, the rupee is for $1 yesterday. If you have $1, you will get 47.02 rupees, Mr. Speaker. It is on the rise. The depreciation of our rupee is on the rise. The euro as well, it has gone beyond 50 rupees. It is, for €1, we get 51.09 rupees. £1 sterling, you get 60.41 rupees. And for the Australian dollar, very important, because we import loads of products from Australia, it is on the rise as well, Mr. Speaker. It is at 31.89 rupees, $1 Australian dollar. So it is a very concrete and detailed figures from statistics, from figures in the budget estimates that I am addressing this August Assembly to lay out that this is not a no-tax budget. There has been no such thing as a no-tax budget with the MSM-led government since 2014. After more than 10 years, referring to previous government, previous government is the government of 2014 to 2019, and now 2019 to 2024. So it is a mea culpa from many members from the other side of the House that after 10 years, we have failed the economy, we have failed the people of Mauritius, and we have failed to provide to them structural reforms that this country badly needs. I would go through what we are witnessing today, Mr. Speaker. No creation of wealth in this country because there is no new pillar of the economy that this government has identified or has seen to identify, to develop for the betterment of the people of Mauritius. We have got the famous report from the World Bank with regards to our port. You would see in the press this morning, Mr. Speaker, we are talking about le port de Maurice parmi les moins performants au monde. And in the press today, it's not just about the port. They are talking also about Air Mauritius. Annulation des vols de Kuala Lumpur et de Cape Town suscite la colère des passagers. The port and the airport, two components that are very, very essential to develop this country, is in a dire state. I say so, Mr. Speaker, because ports around Mauritius in the Indian Ocean are doing far better than we are doing. And I would give you some figures, Mr. Speaker. The port, for example, in the region of, in the Indian Ocean, Port Réunion, it is at 320e place, higher in ranking than our Mauritian port. Madagascar, Tuamisana, 300e. Mayotte, 307e. And the biggest paradox in this, Mr. Speaker, we are at 369e. We are supposed to be the star and key of the Indian Ocean. And our biggest salute, Mr. Speaker, is that the port of Cape Town, which should have been our biggest competitor, is lost in this index. That is, we should have We ought to have had a master plan of the port to make ourselves resilient. And I would come to this, Mr. Speaker, because way back in 2022, I addressed a question, a parliamentary question to the Prime Minister concerning the state of our port, concerning the breakwater construction of our Port Louis Harbour, concerning also the port master plan of Mauritius. Unfortunately, as at now, we do not have a port master plan. Honourable U-Team also, on several occasions, questioned the Prime Minister on this port master plan. This is a very important aspect of this new pillar of the economy, Mr. Speaker, because the port is not just a port where those 44,000 vessels passing through our territorial waters would have had the opportunity to approach. It is also a port that would have been developed into a fishing port. Unfortunately, again, this have been in the Vision 2030 of the 2014 government. Unfortunately, up to now, we don't see the fishing port. Not a single iota in the previous two budgets about the fishing port. Where is this famous fishing port? Giving incentives to fishermen, giving incentives for fishermen to become entrepreneurs in the fishing sector, to create a fishing hub, when in a country surrounded by water, we do not even have a fishing port. This could have been a very important component of our pillar of the economy. And I will lay emphasis, I would urge the Honourable Minister of Finance that this have been a major manquement in his budget. Nothing about the port. And suffice to say, Mr. Speaker, if we look at the estimates of this budget, the strategic review at page 69 of the budget estimates, the mission statement is to position the Port Louis Harbour as a high-performing, safe and competitive port by leveraging on modern equipment, smart technologies to improve port productivity with sustainable port solutions. None of this, Mr. Speaker. And why I'm saying so? Because there are major players in this sector, in this segment of the economy, that are around waiting for the right opportunity to come and invest massively in Mauritius. But if you do not have a port, a modern port, moving with modernity, many ports around the world are becoming green ports. This, for us, for the time being, is just a mere dream. Because we do not even have a competitive port, let alone coming a green port. So this is a major manquement of this budget, to create and build around the port to have a new pillar of the economy. The other manquement in this budget, Mr. Speaker, is the lack of ambition of this government to stop the depreciation of our rupee. It is interlinked, Mr. Speaker. The rupee, as I mentioned earlier on, continues to depreciate. This, we do not need an economist or a chartered accountant or an economic strategist to tell us that with the depreciation of our rupee, most of the articles will rise, and whatever incentive you will be giving to the people of Mauritius, this would just be a mere eyewash, because they will not be able to afford this high percentage of prices that will be coming up in the month to come. With freight increasing by more than 146%, the population of Mauritius, as from mid-August and September, will feel the heat of heavy prices on all commodities. And this is coupled with the growing depreciation of our rupee. Only 6 days back, Mr. Speaker, if we take the famous brand, Kraft, fromage Kraft, that we all like to eat, the Mauritian at large, 6 days after the budget, it has increased by more than 5 rupees, Mr. Speaker. The common man, the people of Mauritius, is experiencing those rise in prices every day. Honorable Sikuen mentioned it very vividly in his speech with regards to rise in the price of medications, pharmaceutical products for our people of Mauritius. So how come such a heartless approach from this government not to look at cutting taxes and also diminishing prices of many commodities? Honorable Yutim mentioned it. It was a budget that could have become a budget of, say, thank you, au revoir, but on a very good note from this government, by decreasing prices, diminishing taxes on those commodities, basic commodities. And on top of that, Mr. Speaker, huge expectations from the people of Mauritius with regards to baisse des prix de l'essence et du diesel. Huge expectations. And once again, I've shown from the figures why government will not remove some taxes to reduce the price on those commodities, petroleum products, for the very simple reason that they are fleecing the people of Mauritius to get those money to make this budget. Simple as that. In a layman's language, you are giving 500 rupees in the right pocket of the people of Mauritius, and with two hands, you are removing 700 and 800 rupees in the left pocket. This is what is happening to the people of Mauritius. Giving them 500 rupees, and in on the other pocket, very nicely, you are just removing 800 rupees. This is the illusionist approach of this government with regards to this budget. Coming to drugs, many honorable members have been mentioning the drug issue in Mauritius. Mr. Speaker, this government has lost the battle to combat drug trafficking, but also to find a solution to rehabilitate drug users. This is a very sad état des lieux when you go around, and I believe in all constituencies of Mauritius, where the drug issues is a big, big problem for many families. Many families. May I continue, Honorable Khushal?
Honorable Khushal,
May I continue?
can you please behave yourself?
So what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, it's a very serious issue. It's not a joke. People, families are experiencing several problems. Youngsters taking methadone at the age of 15 in a country like Mauritius. We've got no borders, no frontiers. We are surrounded by waters. Where do all these drugs come from? How come after 10 years, after having the Lam Shangling report, we are still experiencing huge disparities in the fight against drug consumption in this country? This is a severe warning to this government that you've lost the battle in drug combating, in drug trafficking, combat in rehabilitating our people, our youngsters. And on that score, I do not understand why, when government is saying that we have implemented more than 90% of the Lam Shangling report, they do not mention why they are not dismantling ADZU and why they are not implementing the recommendation of having a drugs commission. Why? An independent body that would fight drugs, independent from many institutions, independent from interference, doing their job in a very independent manner. This is what we need. We need policies, bold policies, structural reforms with regards to fighting drugs. And on this score, Mr. Speaker, I will come on the police force. The police force, Mr. Speaker, again, l'enfant pauvre de ce budget. Despite the fact that we are increasing the budget from 10.8 billion to 12 billion rupees, you would see that year in, year out, we are talking about giving, consolidating, intensifying community policing program, but at the end of the day, we do not give the value that our police officers need. They are demotivated, Mr. Speaker. I do talk to police officers almost every day in my day-to-day work as a barrister. If you go in many police stations, they are in dire states. The condition of works, their mental health, they are at a level low. This budget didn't address it at all. Our police officer, they need a decent salary. Our police officer, they need a decent working environment. Not some couple of weeks back, there was a big announcement that then police officer that would be working on Sundays on a shift system, they would be getting twice the amount that they were getting. Go and ask those police officers if they are getting those allowances. Go and ask those chief inspectors, assistant superintendent of police, superintendent of police. They are also working on Sundays. Why are they not being allowed to have those allowances? They work on the same shift system as those police officers. And when you couple what you are paying to police constables, sergeants, some of them are even earning more than the chief inspector running the police station. This is the crude reality, Mr. Speaker. This is on the fields. This is when you go in the police stations. And this is where the police, they are demotivated. There is no feel-good factor in the police services when you say, we will be recruiting more than 1,000 police officers. This is not a novel approach from the Honorable Minister, because way back in the budget 2021-2022, it was announced that over the next 3 years, we will recruit 4,000 police officers. We will promote 1,457 police officers. So that was already announced. There is nothing new that in this current budget that you are recruiting 1,000 police officers. But what you are not saying, that this famous police academy that ought to have been constructed at Côte d'Or, where is it? Where is it to be found? It was announced way back in the budget 2017-2018, Mr. Speaker. And in the budget of 2021-2022, again, it was announced that you will be constructing this Mauritius Discipline Forces Academy at Côte d'Or. And as at date, Mr. Speaker, if you look at what has been taken from the PSIP 2024-2025 at PSIP code B0185, the total cumulative expenditure up to June 2023 is only 7.82 millions de rupees for a project that has escalated to 1.87 milliards de rupees. This is not a serious approach from this government to motivate our police force. And our police force, I make myself their porte-parole in the House today because most of them has been speaking to me. They are demotivated and they are waiting for the right moment, in silence, in all transparency and democracy, to take the opportunity to give their opinion through their right to vote, which is their democratic value that they will honor when time comes. This is for the police, Mr. Speaker. Let me come to the judiciary. The judiciary, again, I was very astonished on the last occasion when, during his speech, the Honorable Attorney General didn't even mention a line with regards to his ministry. An Attorney General that speaks in Parliament that does not utter a single word on the judiciary. Mr. Speaker, again, I will come before this House to state that l'enfant pauvre de ce budget, encore une fois, c'est le judiciaire. Reform in the judiciary is of utmost importance. I'm not saying that this government is committed to implement the Mackay report, because they have not gone through that report. They didn't believe in the reform of the judiciary. But what I'm saying is that in the 2022-2023 budget, at paragraph 334, Mr. Speaker, it was announced that there will be a creation of a separate court of appeal. And as a lawyer, Mr. Speaker, you will know that section 80, subsection 3 of the Constitution, there was a proviso that the judges of the Court of Civil Appeal and the Court of Criminal Appeal shall be the judges for the time being of the Supreme Court. It was way back in 1968, Mr. Speaker, sir. The framers of our Constitution made a temporary provision for the judges of the Supreme Court to also hear appeals. It is unfortunate that after 56 years, the temporary setup intended by this proviso of our Constitution has somewhat become a permanent feature, despite the fact that it was mentioned in the vision of this government that they will come with this Court of Appeal. And let alone the Court of Appeal, if you go by the infrastructure that lawyers, that users of courts of laws, they do venture to go and witness every day, Honorable Utim vividly again described that we are still fighting to have a proper air conditioning system in our intermediate court. And we are having so many constitutional challenges because nowadays people are aware of their constitutional rights. Nothing in this House, no debate from this government to come forward to say, why don't we not debate with regards to implementing a constitutional court? Because it is becoming caduc that many constitutional challenges, when you go to court, it takes months, years to be decided. In my maiden speech back in 2019, I said, all honorable members in this House, we are having the opportunity to reform our system, to reform our État de droit. And one of the major reforms is that we cannot be, let alone in the world or even in Africa, a country where we have got a constitution.
Back to budget.
This is in the budget.
But
I'm talking about the judiciary. I'm
You
talking
were
about
given-
reforms.
You were given a book for the budget.
But
Concentrate
I'm
on
talking
that.
about the budget. There is no provision in the budget
That's
to
all.
create a
You already-
constitutional court.
You already said it. Now go ahead.
But I'm saying it, I'm elaborating on it, Mr. Speaker. I'm not doing politics. I'm sticking to the budget.
I did not tell you you were doing politics, honorable member. I was telling you you are deviating too much from the budget debate on the budget. If you can continue, continue. If you don't, then we close the debate.
Continue.
Please.
I can continue for
Please,
hours
go ahead.
to criticize this budget of this government. I can continue for hours, but I'm sticking to major points. Because if a country, you do not have a judiciary that you come with reforms, if you do not have good governance with regards to institutions, if you do not have a system whereby your local governments, local elections are not held after more than 10 years, then we have a problem. This is a bad signal for investors. Investors will not come in a country whereby you do not have local elections. And in this budget, Mr. Speaker, I do not see anywhere mention of a fund that is being allocated to reform this sector. Because elections, local elections were postponed because there was a statement from the minister that there will be a major reform, there will be a big law, legal framework with regards to local elections. Nothing in this budget mentioning about this aspect of the law to be amended or any budgetary provisions for this aspect. So it is part of the budget, it is part of the debate of this budget, but it is not to be found in this budget. I will move on, Mr. Speaker, to other items in this budget. Honorable Joanna Béranger spoke about it with regards to rehabilitation of our beaches. Mr. Speaker, what is sad? What is sad perspective when out of those 27 kilometers of beaches that ought to have been already tackled by this government, only 1.7 kilometers have been earmarked or is being cleaned up. Nothing, no political will from this government. They are just seeing the death of our seashores, and then they will implement with huge figures, billions of rupees, to implement those measures. Again, lack of seriousness from this government to tackle those issues. Same thing, again, with regards to l'exode des jeunes. Nothing in this budget about preventing our youngsters to leave this country. On the contrary, I've been meeting lots of youngsters. They are very preoccupied with these new measures from government. And here, in the budget at page 9, it is mentioned at paragraph 75 that the threshold for occupation permits for professionals will be reduced from 30,000 rupees to 22,500 rupees. Mr. Speaker, just imagine, we are struggling to retain our youngsters. There is a massive brain drain of our youngsters. They are going abroad. They are going to Luxembourg. They are going to other countries to work. Now, allowing professionals to come and work as low as 22,500 rupees, what sort of an encouragement you're giving to our degree holders, to our youngsters who wants to stay in Mauritius with their parents, caring for their parents, and working for the people of Mauritius and for their country? This is the biggest paradox of this budget, Mr. Speaker. On the one hand, encouraging foreigners to come and take the places of our young professionals, and on the other hand, nothing is being done to attract the Mauritian diaspora or even attract our youth to stay in Mauritius. This is also a manquement in our budget. Now for the financial services sector, again, Mr. Speaker.
A few minutes left.
Again, Mr. Speaker, the Attorney General has failed lamentably with regards to economic diplomacy. Diplomacy at its best ought to have negotiated very strongly with India with regards to the protocol that they have not signed yet. And if this is ratified, I know they are playing the delaying tactics because elections are near for Mauritius but over for India. It will smell the death of people investing through Mauritius to India. And this will be a big favor for the Gujarat International Financial Center and to the detriment of our Mauritian financial sector. And also, this climate levy of 2%. I just hope the Honorable Minister will enlighten us on this, that this will not apply to the global services sector, or else, again, this will create a massive exodus of people in the global sector to leave Mauritius. I do hope that we'll have some clarity on this issue, that this levy will not apply to the global services sector. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, I will take what the Honorable Minister has taken as slogan, tomorrow is ours. Yes, tomorrow is with the people, tomorrow is for the people of Mauritius, and tomorrow will be Judgment Day. Tomorrow will be Judgment Day, Mr. Speaker, and tomorrow with the people, for the people, with a new government, Labour Party, MMM, Nouveau Démocrate. This will happen. You are laughing, Mr. Speaker. I do congratulate you because you will laugh more when we will be in government. Thank you very much.
Honourable Member, I'm laughing simply because you started your speech by saying cheap politics and you ended your speech by cheap politics. You see? This is why I'm laughing. But you have the right to conduct any sort of government you want. I'll be here. I'll be here.